2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts, but tonight we are continuing our Christmas themed month as we journey into some weird territory. I say weird because the casting of this film that was subjected to us. Well, Tammy, why don't you tell us a little bit about the characters that were involved in this and what movie we're going to be discussing?
We're doing the Muppets, the Christmas Carol.
And it was a film that was filmed in 1992. It was directed by Brian Henson, who is the son of Jim Henson. And I believe his father had died a little bit before this film, or
1990.
Yeah, so he was at one point in time part of the production while it was going on, but died before he saw it, I think. So,
Good way before.
Oh yeah, but the film does kind of say in loving memory of Jim at the end of the film. So, let's see what IMDb says about the film. Scrooge, an old miser who dislikes Christmas, is visited by by spirits who foretell his future and share secrets from his past and present, which helps change his view on life. And
that's a description of all the Christmas carols.
Yes.
What's the Muppet part?
That is weird. But anyway, the writers were Charles Dickens and Gerald Toll. And the film stars Michael Caine, Dave Goetz, Steve Whitmire, Frank Oz, among many other various voice characters that normally voice the Muppets. But Tammy, why don't you bring us into the first impressions here?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm actually not sure when I saw it the first time. So, I think probably with you, David, is when I saw it actually the first time. So, because I hadn't, I had like watched the first couple Muppet movies, I think, but not all of them. So, but yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. You know, it's always got to be fun if you got the Muppets. You know, so.
Yes, indeed.
There isn't really much else to say about it. It's it's Muppets. It's gonna be fun.
Okay. Who's next? Go ahead and choose who's next, Tammy.
Jake.
Okay. I could not tell you when I first saw this either, although it wasn't necessarily a part of my childhood. Let's put it that way. Like, I was aware of this. Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been my early childhood. I mean, it came out when I was, already a little older, but like late childhood, I was aware of this. I was aware of the Muppets when I was a kid. When I was a kid, definitely, I watched Muppet Babies. I knew the characters. But I really did not watch a lot of their movies growing up, and I could not tell you how much of this I saw or when. I could not tell you when I finally sat down and watched the movie. It could have been one Brandon showed me. It could have been one I saw in college. Maybe I saw it before that and forgot about it. I really Don't know. I do know I have not seen it often over the years. I tried watching it for this and ended up actually watching it twice for this discussion. And so it's much fresher in my brain. I've always liked it. I've always had fond thoughts of the movie. But it's weirdly hard to pin down what my history is with this one. But I guess that's true of a lot of Christmas movies, you know. But it's a good one. I enjoy it. I like watching it. The second time I watched it, apparently the first time I watched a cut that is relatively new, I think they got it together for the 30th anniversary because the producers forced them to cut a song from the original release. And the second time around, I think I accidentally put on the original cut. And it was kind of interesting getting to see both versions. I feel like it does lose out without that song. I don't know that it really cripples it, especially because the song's still there. It still plays over the end credits. But the callbacks to it don't make as much sense without it being where it's supposed to be in the film.
Yeah, our friend pointed that out very much.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, it's an interesting. It was interesting to see both versions, even though I didn't plan to. And I guess that first time, it probably was the first time I watched the full cut. I'm guessing, but I think it probably was. So, yeah, glad I got to do that at least.
Okay, is that all?
Yeah, that'll do for now.
Okay. Dustin?
I don't really remember the first time I saw this because I saw it a really long time ago. The first time, it might have been on Disney Channel or something like that. Back when I would just watch what was on cable, like as a kid or a teen. I don't think we had this on tape, but anyway, I've always had pretty good memories of it, and I've seen it quite a few times. Just over the years, like it's something that if it's on, I'll just watch it. And I've always really enjoyed this movie to the point I kind of forget there are other adaptations of A Christmas Carol a lot of times, which made somebody really angry. That's like, what, you don't know about the 1951? It's like, what are you talking about, dude? So I mean, just my impressions of this movie are just overwhelmingly positive. Really, I mean, all of it works. It's great. I had only recently found out about that cut song when you guys sent me. Somebody uploaded it to YouTube. It is very quick. It is a very short song, almost more dialogue than a song. And I think I can see maybe why it was cut, because it's very quick and you kind of get what you need out of the scene even without it.
Apparently, the producer said it was too sad, and that's why I had to go, because it was too
He
sad.
based it off of one audience of children, and
Right.
basically said they were fidgety and it's too sad for the kids. Let's cut it.
Oh, well. Weird. Well, I guess I'm proven wrong on that then, but in any case, it's still a pretty good movie, and yeah, that is not a better reason, I guess, for them to cut that.
I mean, it fits very well with it in because they do a refrain of the song at the end of the movie.
Right.
Makes more sense why they refrained it, but also, I admit I would not have missed it if I didn't know it was there, because I didn't when I first watched it.
Right. And for a long time, I didn't really know it was there either. So I think I remember some vague mention of, oh yeah, it's back in now. And it's like, what's back in? When the special edition or whatever was being crafted. But for the most part, I don't really remember that.
Okay.
Kind of what I got to say there. So,
How about you, Brandon?
Well, not my first time, but I have no clue when I first watched it. I think no, I didn't watch it as a child. I know that. I first watched it as an adult, which is odd because it came out when I was technically a child. I was a teen. So, it did come out when I was of an age where I could have gotten some enjoyment out of it. But I think a lot of it, we have a friend who really loves this one every year because she grew up with it. I mean, for me, I guess it's the same way I feel about one we're covering later in the month, which was the Mickey's Christmas Carol, because that was the one I grew up with. I think it's a good rendition. It's got some good Muppet humor. It still has, out of the ones that they did where they did the Muppets in different stories, like they did this, they did Muppet Wizard of Oz, they did Muppet Treasure Island. I feel like I'm missing one.
Muppets in Space.
I mean,
the Muppet movie, the Muppets Take Manhattan.
I mean, one of the ones where they cover like a fairy tale or one. But maybe it was just those three. But
Maybe.
But out of the three, this one is by far the best, with Wizard of Oz being the worst. But this one was really good. I had not heard about the film until our friend Debbie pointed it out. And it was quite sour about it going on like that. Which makes sense, because that was the way that they released it. The original VHS apparently did have the full cut.
And the Laserdisc had it as well.
So,
and at least the first printing of the DVD
Had that song.
Yes.
Because what I read on IMDb was that they were forced to release it originally without the song.
there?
Nope.
Wait, this is what it says on IMDb. The song When Love Is Gone was dropped from the theatrical release over the objections of Brian Henson at the request of Disney chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg, who said it was too sad for young children. The last-minute decision resulted in a jarring edit in the scene. Okay, it was restored for VHS and Laserdisc. Yep. Okay, so yeah.
There you go.
But the theatrical release did not have it, and it was never used in the television airings or the Blu-ray release until they found a version to use for the anniversary. Okay,
Yep.
So there we go.
We found the original negatives, and
Okay.
For the streaming 4K release on Disney Plus, they used it for that,
Right.
because they never put a physical out of that 4K release
Right.
that they did.
But again, the second time I watched it on Disney Plus, and I wasn't being careful, and like I said, I ended up putting the original cut on. So I guess you have to be careful if you're watching it on Disney Plus
You have to
choose the
select
right
it.
one.
And I will say, in my watch through, now that I've seen it with the thing intact, it
Right.
does have a slightly jarring jump at that. And there are callbacks to the song that you see once you realize that the song is not there. And you're realizing, oh, so that's what this was referring to. So you do feel the absence of it once you know it's there.
So I guess I'm the only one in the group who actually grew up with the song in there.
I guess, like I said,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd seen it.
Yeah, I grew up with the song in there, and at the time, I thought she was actually pretty, and I actually liked her voice. And the scene actually gives you a little bit more of her and Scrooge's relationship, because all you get to see of them is meeting at Fezziwig's party, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as fun as Scrooge foreclosing on her house like he does in the Disney one. But still, yeah, it's one of those things.
Are you talking about the Jim Carrey one?
No, this is the original Disney one. Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Don't
worry, we'll cover it soon.
I think I saw that years ago.
But yeah, as far as my first impression, though, to sum it up, yes, I did enjoy this, but no, this is nowhere near my first time yet. I did not grow up with this, so I don't have quite the nostalgia that other people have. But it is a very solid Muppet film.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't feel bad. I didn't grow up with it either. So.
Well, if I recall correctly, Brandon, I believe you do have quite the background with the Muppets, correct?
Oh yeah, I mean the others I saw. I mean, yeah. I saw the original Muppet movie, Muppets Take Manhattan, and my favorite one, The Muppet Caper, over and over again as a child.
Right.
And it was kind of funny because Muppets in Space was playing in the same theater the South Park movie was when we went.
How's that for a pairing? All right.
By far the weakest of the basic Muppet films, including the new ones that were released.
Okay, David?
Well, as I guess I've kind of alluded to, I grew up with the Muppet Christmas Carol and the Muppets and whatnot, and besides the Alastair Sims Scrooge that I grew up with, this is my second favorite Christmas Carol version. Next to Daddy Warbucks version, I would have to say those three are my three that I like to watch at least every year. And I did grow up with this song, and when I heard that they cut the song, I was like, "You fuckers!" And I was a little upset at the time, but not, I mean, I do and I don't get why they cut it. I understand that the song is a little sad, but how sensitive do you think these children are?
Right.
You know? Obviously, it was done by someone who didn't know people in the Disney, and you guys know my thoughts and opinions on the mouse in general. So, I guess it's not that I was outraged by it, but I do, in fact, think that it slightly crippled the film because, yes, there are callbacks in it. You do hear it in the credits afterwards, but then you have the next generation watching the film without having the pleasure of hearing Belle's voice.
Right. In the tradition of Disney films at the time, there was a professional singer covering the song over the credits. Somehow did not realize it was Martina McBride right away. But, yeah. What's up? But I think it's kind of hilarious that they had that whole kerfuffle in the first place, because the film actually makes a joke about the appropriateness of the material for kids. There's that great part where Rizzo's like, boy, that's scary stuff. Should we be worried about the kids in the audience? And Gonzo's like, nah, it's all right. This is culture.
That's a good one. There was also was Muppet Treasure Island, that was after this, right? Or before it? I can't remember.
I believe it was after.
After, because they do that in Muppet Treasure Island too. And that's one of my favorite jokes in there too, where they kind of repeat that. It's like, he died, but this is supposed to be a kid's movie.
Yeah.
I enjoy those.
I think that Muppet Treasure Island was the last of the ones that they covered, because I know that they had the whole controversy about one of the pigs being named Spam.
Okay.
I want to say
that's just
Wizard of Oz was the second. Yeah,
No, Wizard
Wizard of Oz was
How
far later. So
That was much later, yeah.
yeah, so it was 92, 96, and 2005.
I was going to say, because didn't Wizard of Oz have... Oh, it was a Shanty. Okay. I was going to say, didn't it have one of them pop stars who wasn't even around in the 90s?
Oh, I don't keep up with that stuff.
Oh.
But it was definitely the one that seemed to have killed the whole Muppets doing a fairy tale genre.
Yeah. Interesting.
But at the end of the day, I ultimately enjoy the film each year. Enjoy the characters. I think Michael Caine actually did a brilliant job as Scrooge, especially in the very beginning. That whole Billy and Barnum bah humbug.
Yeah. I was watching this and I was thinking a couple days ago, I saw a list of like people that you can count on them to play the kind of characters you love to hate. And they focused mostly on the people who usually play heels in the movies and didn't put as many of the people who kind of cover both sides. But Michael Caine definitely has built a career on playing the heels in movies. This is definitely one of his more warm and fuzzy roles. But at the beginning, you can definitely see why.
How would you like to suddenly be on the unemployment line?
Right, exactly. Well, even his first Bah Humbug is just like very well done. All right.
Well, he can play kind of either direction, like really like warm and friendly or like really crotchety. So this seems like it was a very good fit for him because he has to do that shift. Because I mean, I'm thinking about him. The other movies I think of Michael Caine in that aren't Batman are Dressed to Kill and Jaws: The Revenge, where he plays totally different characters.
I remember him in a film called The Island, and also in a version of the Jack the Ripper. So
yeah. Well, he's one of Chris Nolan's go-to guys. He's in just about all of his movies, and he's been a lot of stuff over the years. One of his other good roles was the one that won him an Oscar, Side of House Rules. But there, he plays a deeply complicated character that many people would consider a villain. But so it's interesting. He likes that kind of thing. So more power to him. He also likes money, and he's famous for taking paycheck roles like Jaws: The Revenge. But
he was in the Italian Job.
Yes, the original Italian Job, yeah. And Get Carter, Alfie, a bunch of those movies, yeah. Yeah. So, Dave, did you finish your first impressions? I didn't mean to jump in on them.
Yeah, I finished them for the most part. Tammy, why don't you bring us into the plot?
Well, it's another take on A Christmas Carol, basically. Only it's the Muppet version.
Right.
Yep. And Gonzo is playing the role of Charles Dickens.
Right. And his stalwart companion, Ratso Rizzo, has to be reminded a couple of times that he is playing the part of Charles Dickens. But once they get that straight.
Oh, Rizzo is too busy eating food and jelly beans.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Rizzo is definitely funny in this.
Yeah.
But yes, Gonzo is telling the story. And for the most part, it is Muppets in the movie, except for Scrooge is Michael Caine.
Mm-hmm. Well, also his nephew Fred, Fred's wife, Scrooge's fiance.
Right.
There's a few, not a lot. It is, and then some of the random passerbys. It's almost like they almost did well, we'll have a Muppet here and a person there, like no real rhyme or reason with the background.
It's funny this time around when Beaker and what's his name exit the shop, the
Bunsen.
Scrooge's shop.
Yeah.
Beaker actually puts up his middle finger as he walks out the door. I just noticed that, like in this time around. I thought that was hilarious.
See, I made the comment, I think, Brandon can tell me if I'm remembering this correctly, but I think I made the comment when we were watching it that Beaker could have just cursed him out right then and there, and should have, because no one would ever know. You know? It's like R2-D2. No one knows what he's actually saying. You just know it's not safe for kids. But yeah. But yeah, so, we have them. We have Beaker and Honeydew as the two coming around to take collections in that one scene. We have Statler and Waldorf playing the Marleys, which is always Jacob Marley, but here they added, was it Robert, I think? Just so they could have them still be a duo. Fozzie plays old Fozziewig. Then you had Kermit as Bob Cratchit. You had Piggy, of course, as his wife. And we had a spirited debate about how a frog and a pig can have a family of frogs and pigs. Hybrids.
Well, then Cratchit, all the other rats, there was never all those other helpers. It was just Cratchit.
Whoa.
When I used to read the Roger Ebert review books when I was in elementary school, I remember the review for this movie. He was talking about how it's like, well, all the boy children are frogs, all the girl children are pigs. So see, it's not really a hybrid thing. It kind of just works out. So
yeah,
that's how I choose to let it go.
Well, right. I mean, it's really interesting that the way that all of our, it's for kids stuff plays so fast and loose with those rules. It's interesting. But anyway, that could be a whole pointless debate. But and then who are the other significant ones? One thing that was interesting was this went into production, I think, when Jim Henson was still alive, but he passed away long before they got very far into it. And also, who else was it that they said at the end? There was someone else that they did in memory of. It was one of the puppeteers. And why am I drawing a blank? Does anyone? Richard Hunt. Yeah. Apparently, for years, they were the two. Hunt and Henson were the ones who originally did Statler and Waldorf. And of course, Henson performed Kermit, and Hunt did Scooter. And apparently one of the reasons why Scooter's not in the film is because Hunt died so shortly before they filmed. And they didn't, But according to IMDb, they originally were going to have Piggy, Scooter, and Gonzo as the ghosts. And Hunt's death is one of the reasons they completely rewrote that and made all the ghosts be original characters.
I swear that first one though was some definite.
Yeah. And
what is it that I had? What is it that it was? What is the term for it? The where you got something that kind of looks like human, but it looks.
Well, you kept using
Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, that's what
Yes,
you kept.
I kind of liked the designs on the different ghosts. The first one looked kind of like a Christmas angel that you'd see on top of a tree, didn't she?
Yes.
And frankly, the
I think
first
that was the
ghost,
idea.
the first ghost is usually kind of creepy, so that's par for the course. Yeah. It's like the first one's creepy, the second one is friendly and jovial, and the third one is scary. That's usually how it turns out. What's that?
I still stand by that my favorite of the ghosts of Christmas Future is the one from Scrooge.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you really beat that one?
Yeah. But yeah, notably, as far as the characters, I just finished that thought off. Rolf has a brief cameo, but he also was voiced by Henson, which is why he says nothing in the film. And it could be that why Kermit was a supporting player rather than the star, because they wanted to make sure Steve Whitmire could do the role, I guess.
But didn't he cover Kermit for the rest of that time after?
I believe so. And I think he did a fine job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't really that discernible unless you were watching it back to back with the previous.
And Jerry Nelson is the one who stepped in to play, was it either Statler or Waldorf? I can't remember which. He stepped in to play one of them. And I think Whitmire might have been the other one. Yeah, he played Statler. He also plays Tim. Yeah. Most of them play multiple characters, which has been typical of the Muppets. But yeah.
They've been good at finding replacements for the voices.
Right.
I mean, when Frank Oz left, they did find somebody who did a good job voicing Fozzie. And Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to see how versatile a lot of those actors were.
Oh yeah, Oz is a superstar of voice acting. I mean,
Yoda.
Yeah. He's done a lot.
But Yoda definitely did feel like a variation of Miss Piggy. So I can't really I could tell that one, but the difference between Fozzie and Miss Piggy is pretty impressive.
He also plays Animal. Yeah. Apparently he also plays Bert, Cookie Monster, and Grover in the Sesame Street.
I like Animal.
Yeah. I like him. My favorite moment with him is still the Muppets, the new one, where he's practicing anger management and he's like, in control.
He's pretty good in the Dr. Teeth show that they did too.
Right. I need to see that.
I need to finish it, but it's been fun. The theme song at the beginning is also really fun.
Well, you expect that, but
yes.
Yeah. So that we should note that this is a musical. We talked about the song. It is a musical, and it starts with that a pretty good character song introducing Scrooge, which
there goes Mr. Humbug. There goes Mr. Grimm.
I guess they just call it Scrooge. Looks like they do.
And the animals and even the vegetables hate him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and later you see the vegetable dude in jail during the Christmas present song.
Yeah, because he was selling singing vegetables. I mean, come on. Maybe those were the black market vegetables.
Those aren't black market vegetables. I don't know what it is.
And and I repeat Rizzo's line. You know, my mother always told me never to trust singing food.
Right.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So.
All right, Tammy, bring us around.
So yes, it opens with the with Gonzo and Rizzo. They're doing the Gonzo is Dickens, and he's telling the story, and then you get the song describing Scrooge,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get to see um Scrooge's place, well, the shop, you know, and everybody is working very hard. All the rats and Kermit are, yeah, and he asked for if they could have some more coal, and um, that doesn't go over very well. He asks if they want to all be unemployed instead.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, that's part's a little bit different than your traditional, because in the traditional ones it's just you know, you don't have all the different, you know, apprentices, you know.
Well, they basically they gave Bob a promotion because here he's middle management.
Yeah.
Right. But
Well, and if you think about it, when you go to the Christmas present, they're actually doing much better than I normally see the Cratchits. They're not doing great because of, well, how many children he's got, but still, you know, they were able to cook a goose, an actual goose.
Right.
Not like the pigeon that like they're cooking in Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Right. The yeah.
but in the traditional story, yes, the nephew shows up, and Scrooge is the bah humbug, and you know, why would you get married? Because I fell in love, you know.
He said something. Well, he said something to the effect of "That's about the only thing that's stupider than being merry at Christmas" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The and one
of course, Beaker and Honeydew come in. And,
yeah.
He's like, "Are there no poorhouses? Are there no jails or prisons?"
Right.
It's like, if you're going to die, you better do it or decrease the surplus population.
Exactly. Such a humanitarian he is. Although it is amusing, on his way out, Fred tells them, "Yes, Mr. Scrooge is such a generous sort."
He was screwing with him.
Oh yeah. Fred in this one definitely comes off as a little more. He's definitely not the innocent he's sometimes portrayed as being. He comes off as being a little more snarky. You know, especially when they do that game later that Scrooge watches with the Ghost of Christmas Present. And I feel like Fred came off even more snarky than usual in that scene.
What was the ship that brought them all there? The SS Minnow. No.
What's that?
I was like, what was the name of the ship that brought them all there? The SS Minnow.
Exactly. But,
but yes, it you know, it basically follows along, for the most part, along the line of the traditional. After the nephew comes, and a professor, was it the professor and Beaker?
Yeah.
And come by, then you know, Scrooge closes up. Before he closes up for the night, he finally
Well, there is the bunny that comes and sings at the door, and he throws the wreath at him, and then
Well,
of course when he comes in, there's some guy talking about his mortgage, and he just picks him up and throws him out. Thank you for not shouting at me.
Right.
well, nobody really cared for Bean as a character anyway, so you know.
Right.
But yeah, and then Scrooge does finally give in to having Christmas Day off, even though he was not thrilled about it.
Well,
But
the
Well, they appeal to his greedier nature. Like, you're gonna waste more money being open than closed.
right, you're going to spend all that money on coal, yeah. But I like the whole where Cratchit does the you know, sir, tomorrow is
right,
Christmas.
because nobody else is gonna be open, and you're gonna have to use the coal and everything.
Well, he's like, well, he's like, well, Scrooge tells him be it here at 8, and he's like, well, it's Christmas, and he's like, 8:30 then.
Being very
Yeah,
generous.
I like the logic in that dialogue too. It's
Yeah.
like, well, other businesses will be closed. You'll have nobody to do business with.
Right.
And he's like, well, fine. You know, after they make the extra argument about the coal.
Yeah.
So it's
He's like,
why wouldn't you be
I
open?
seem to be the only one who sees it, you know.
Oh. But yeah, he goes back home after they lock up, and of course you have the song that they sing while locking up.
Yeah, the One More Sleep Till Christmas.
And that's cute. But then, of course, they get to my favorite song, which is the Marley and Marley.
Right. Real quick, though, on Scrooge, I don't know if we mentioned this. I don't think we did. But was it Debbie that mentioned this? Someone mentioned, like, how great it was that they had a movie aimed at kids that included words like skinflint.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, I love that. I love that. I don't feel like they were dumbing it down. You know, a lot of times movies tend to do that when they're aimed at kids or aimed at families. They dumb it down, and it's like, I don't think the Muppets do that all that often.
When
they certainly
the Muppets are done right.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that was bad about the Muppet Wizard of Oz is that they did dumb it down considerably.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the heck what happened with that one. But they did not dumb it down with Treasure Island, and I think that's why they dumbed it down with the other, because they got into some hot oil because of it.
I do not remember a Muppet Wizard of Oz to save my life. When did that happen?
2000.
Oh, I was definitely not paying attention around that time, so it would explain some of it.
Dane lists it on his Oztober as one of the worst, his least favorite Muppet movie of all time.
Ouch.
He lays into it for the whole episode.
Oh, well, lovely.
So yep, as they're leaving, they're watching the penguins do their ice slide, I think he was calling it. So, and they go into a song, and that was fun.
Right. But yes, I agree with Brandon. Marley and Marley is a fun song.
Marley and Marley.
It is so stuck in my head, like at all times.
Right. It is probably one of the catchiest songs in the movie, if not the catchiest. They're like, Scrooge is pretty catchy, and it feels like Christmas is pretty catchy, but some of the others are kind of forgettable, honestly. But
Well, yeah, after the penguins and stuff, you do see Scrooge get to his residence, and he sees Marley as the door knocker,
right.
And
I have to admit, when he goes in, the way it's lit and everything, it actually is like suitably creepy there for a little bit. It's kind of fun.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
uh, uh, Gonzo and Riz are trying to watch everything through the window.
Well, first they have that whole thing of getting over the fence, and we have the what was it? Rizzo said something like, "The only thing I hate more than heights is falling," or something like that. Or I'm probably
Falling from heights.
falling from heights. Yeah,
He
there are
gets
two things.
abused.
You could just walk right through.
There are two things in this life I hate: heights and jumping from them. And then, God save my little broken body. And then he falls in, and then he's like, "Oh, wait a second, I forgot my jelly beans," and just walks right through the fence. And Gonzo looks at him. What? You could walk right through.
He gets poor Riz is, he gets trashed through the whole thing,
Right. Yep.
But yes, we do see in this one there's the Marley brothers that show up,
Right.
and yes, they have their song, and then he's told he's gonna have the 3 visitors, and then our first ghost shows up, which I do agree kind of almost looks like a little angel,
Right.
So
A little angel drowning in a lake.
but
Yeah, as I said, I think the Uncanny Valley holds well because the angel is as human-like as possible,
Mm-hmm.
but it looks just off.
Apparently,
Because it's still a puppet.
Apparently, they had a puppet underwater, and then they like superimposed it on the scene or whatever. But like they did that underwater so that it had that kind of drifty, ethereal look, which is why I kind of joked there was an angel drowning. But
Well, it was indeed.
yeah.
I mean, they've had varied cases when it comes to the ghosts of past. I mean, I remember Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol was just a kid with like a golden flame over his head. And I can't even remember what the one for. And of course, then there was the one in Scrooge where it was the cab driver.
Yeah.
So they get varied.
Yeah.
No,
And I'll admit, this one probably wasn't any creepier than that Jim Carrey one. That one was, oof.
Well, so, but they take him back to when he was a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Learning by, of course, our Blue Eagle.
Oh, yes.
yeah,
I've never really loved Sam. He was one of the ones I was not as into, but I love the you will love business. It is the American way. Sam, Gonzo whispers in his ear, "Oh, it is the British way."
yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. So one could argue like, what's the difference? But
Right.
it still works.
Right.
But yes, the angel or the ghost takes on the journey of his past, and besides the schoolyard and school, then we see him at his first job.
And I like how he's sitting there trying to like do work while he's like, and he's like, you realize how much this party is costing us? He's like, put that away and go party.
And that's
Fozziewig played by Fozzie. Fozziewig.
Yes, old Fozziewig.
And then, of course, that's when we first meet Belle.
Yep. And of course, that's when, after they get introduced to that, if you're watching the extended cut, it goes directly into that song after they talk about like where it goes forward in time,
Yeah.
which shows the breakup. Instead, they kind of just he talks about it and then it moves forward to the next scene. If you're not, which I understand why it's considered jarring now that I see where it was. That's a much smoother transition than what they did when they cut it.
Right. The also worth noting that being that we're talking Fozzie, in this version, Fozziewig runs a rubber chicken factory, which is an interesting variation.
I didn't even know that rubber chickens were so popular in the UK.
Right.
Fozzie's always been my least favorite character.
They only have a handful of jokes in the UK, to be honest.
Waka waka waka.
We also see an earlier, a much younger Marley brothers there heckling Fozzie during that scene. Yeah.
Fozzie's always been, to me, annoying.
Yeah. Well, he's supposed to be like the bad comedian, right? Like he's supposed to be like a walking dad joke character.
I know, but he's just annoying.
Yeah.
So
it may be one of the reasons why I like Statler and Waldorf so much, because they're always heckling him. And yeah, I don't know.
I like Statler and Waldorf because they're heckling everybody.
Right.
yeah, but it always did seem like they heckled Fozzie a little bit more.
Oh yeah. Well, he was the stand-up comedian on there, so it was just right for their heckling.
Right.
That's one thing I did grow up on was the Muppet Show, so it was kind of cool to see. I mean,
I watched the Muppet Show as a kid. Yes.
I didn't get to see it as it aired, of course, because I wasn't born, except for 1 year in the 70s, and I was much too young. But definitely it was cool to see it. And the fact that you can see all the Muppet Show on Disney Plus. Now, I was originally like, but what happened to the rights? Oh, yeah, Disney bought all the issues that the rights had.
I need to start watching that, though. Yeah. Wasn't it a variety show?
Yeah, it was a variety show.
Was there like music rights involved, or?
Yeah, but it was with the LucasArts stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
As you can tell, it's not so much an issue now. I don't think that LucasArts is going to sue themselves.
Yeah. Well, and of course, now that Disney has that Infinity Gauntlet where they own almost everything, yeah, it's going to be a lot easier for them.
I do Blu-ray collection with it, but no.
I do know for one thing that's like one reason we'll never see a proper SNL release is just the rights issues would be so insane. But
the music
I need to watch that show. But a side note, apparently one of the reasons Michael Caine actually really wanted to play Scrooge, and he really wanted to do it partly because he wasn't on the Muppet Show, and all his friends were.
Well, he got the equivalent.
Yeah, exactly. He probably got the better deal in the long run, but
he became Scrooge to a lot of people who are adults now.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's just.
I was watching something the one day, and I didn't realize it, but I didn't know that Alice Cooper was ever on the Muppet Show, and he was.
Yep.
There were so many people that were on that. It's like, yeah.
But they showed the little clip of him being on the Muppet Show, and I'm like, oh, wow. Alice Cooper was on the Muppet Show?
The Muppet Show is basically like a different version of SNL, right?
Well, it was a variety show done in the Muppet Theater. They were always struggling with money. They were always doing... Actually, really, if you think about the Muppets, is just a continuation of the Muppet Show. Where they basically... That storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Or really, most of the... I mean, the Muppets Take Manhattan. Another one that's very similar to that. Off of that storyline, plays off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the Muppet movie was the origin story behind them getting together.
Right.
And then Great Muppet Caper was just them putting on a show, essentially, and the whole story of the Great Muppet Caper was actually the show.
I could never remember which one Happiness Hotel came from.
The Muppet Caper.
Ah, that's what I thought. That was fun.
Muppet Caper was just really, if you look at it, it's kind of weird and meta in the sense that it's them basically making a movie.
Mhm.
So they're actually, that's actually them filming the movie essentially, which is the funny thing.
Hmm.
It breaks the fourth wall all the time.
Let's see. And they took option C, right?
Yes. Sneak out in the middle of the night. What takes seat? Very popular choice.
Good times.
But so we get through this and that scene, or skip that scene depending on which version you watch, and we are brought back to start Christmas Present. Now, I admit the Ghost of Christmas Present always kind of it makes me sad because you've got this individual that is born, lives, and dies on Christmas, basically. But it also shows that he is as jolly as he is because he knows, because of the short time, that he has to live life to the fullest.
Right.
And I always was fascinated with that character.
Hmm.
I have over 1,800 brothers and sisters before me.
Mhm.
And it's like, must be a large family gathering. Like, no, they're all dead.
Right.
Yeah, the Ghost of Christmas Present is always a bigger ghost. You know,
Yeah.
he's always enjoying his food and enjoying life, but he's always a bigger person. You know,
Mhm.
no matter which version. You know.
And a big personality, definitely. It's like,
Yes.
come in and get to know me, man. Come in. Yeah. Good times.
That's kind of a cool way to sneak sort of like a Santa Claus style figure in there.
Yeah.
To have the spirit be set up like that.
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad because it seems like he doesn't like die so much as he just like fades away and is reborn.
Reborn.
So, I mean, I get what you're saying with it being kind of like, that bothers you if you think about it kind of thing.
Mhm.
But that might be like my favorite ghost of the three because their Christmas future, i.e. death, is a little bland compared to a lot of the other ones. Like he just looks. There's a magic card called Ragman. He looks like the Ragman, like the art on the original Ragman, exactly like it. So
That
it
may,
doesn't impress me very hard.
that may not be accidental.
The Ghost of Christmas Future has always been a rendition of the Grim Reaper
Yeah.
to some way or another. And has never
Usually silent. They're usually silent. So there are a lot of reasons why that one often falls a little flat in the entertainment or personality aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But the story around it kind of makes that part.
But back to the present.
Yes.
We are basically, that's two scenes. One is the scene with his nephew and their party, which we touched on, where they're kind of making fun of him, but they're having a good time, and Scrooge is basically looking at that and kind of envying the fact that they are having a good time.
And also a little hurt by the fact that his nephew. Now, I have to say, though, they're playing yes or no. And they talk about, oh, Fred is so good at this. And it's like, well, he very rarely says yes or no. I feel like he doesn't know how to follow the rules of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, his reactions are appropriately amusing, but he very rarely says yes or no. It's like,
I like the Trivial Pursuit one that they do in Scrooge the best. The harpsichord.
I don't know why, but the version of that scene I remember the most with like the charades is the Flintstones Christmas Carol for some reason.
Huh.
And it's I want to make sure I don't lose the thought for when we get to that intro with the Spirit of Christmas Future, where like the thieves are talking about all the stuff they got from his house.
Mhm.
Now, in the Flintstones one, I always remembered the line, got his blanket too. He won't need it to keep warm where he's going, which is not in this version, I don't think.
Well, in this one, I think they said like, I didn't need the blanket to still be warm, and she's like, well, it's as warm as it's ever been, or something to that effect.
Hey, you don't get. It's like you
A little
don't get
less dark
extra
in the
for
line.
warmth. It's
Yeah.
like I should. It's the only warmth you ever had.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the other one, of course, was the Bob Cratchit's house, and they have that rendition of like I think one of the main. Actually, yeah, it was the one of the main song theoretically for it, where they're being thankful for Christmas and all of that stuff with Tiny Tim and really I think it's Miss Piggy and the daughters that are causing them to starve because
Yeah.
she keeps eating all the chestnuts and the food in there.
Yes.
And poor Rizzo burns his feet. But in all fairness, he did fall down the smokestack because he was trying to do it. And Gonzo cleaning the smokestack while they're cooking.
Right, which makes so much sense.
That's another one of my like most memorable lines of this movie. When they're trying to do the, to the founder of the feast, and Miss Piggy just like flips out on Scrooge. It's like, founder of the feast indeed. Yeah. And that whole thing where she's like, oh, he is cheap. And the girls are just like nodding along, and she's just like saying stuff. And then she ends with, and badly dressed. And the girl's like, oh, like the girls gasp at that. Like everything else was okay, but that's too far.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's kind of fun. It's worth noting as well that apparently, and I need to watch with this in mind, other versions. I'll keep an eye out when we do Mickey's Christmas Carol. But what I was reading is that this is apparently one of the very few versions where Tiny Tim is actually coughing repeatedly. And, there's always been kind of the implication that he might have had TB, or I guess at the time they called it the consumption. But he is not always portrayed as having breathing difficulties, but he is here. So that's kind of interesting that they even went darker than usual on that note.
And they did have a perfect character for that one, which was
Yeah.
Robin. So, that was a perfect Muppet for that role. So, yeah. But then we finally get into death. I mean, the Spirit of Christmas Future.
The Spirit of Christmas Yet to Come.
Yet to come, yeah.
I like that phraseology. It's pretty cool.
To me, I admit, Dustin had been talking about the people taking the curtains. The first time I saw that scene was at Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, and they had an entire song dedicated to them ripping him off.
As you do.
But that line is funny. The whole like it's the only one thing ever. It's like that line was great that she said about the warmth. And I love that the Spider Muppet was the changer. You don't see that's one of those that you don't see very often, except for on something like the Muppet Show, where they were using a great variety of them. Now all they need is the Wilkins coffee one. Did they? Let's see. I mean, they talked about they went back to the Cratchit's house and discovered that Tim was dead, which of course always brings Scrooge to tears.
Right.
And then the one thing, and I think that Bill Murray's character said it the best when with Scrooge. It's like, why are you even bothering showing this to me? I can't do anything, Dad.
Yeah.
But there's always like that dread of looking at the gravestone and discovering it's them.
Right.
But like any of them, he kind of this actually I will say I kind of agree. This third ghost is probably one of the least intimidating of the ghosts of Christmas future or Christmas yet to come that I've seen.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of that intimidation, just kind of that point, and then Scrooge begs with him and he leaves and he wakes up, you know.
I mean, personally, I like the way that there's like that cloak that has that just the empty expanse in them. It is kind of creepy, but it is interesting because sometimes it's shown as like a skeleton or whatever.
Mhm.
And here it's more like almost a wax mannequin, I guess you could say. And yeah, it for me, it follows a kind of a middle ground. Like, it's not the creepiest thing I've ever seen, and certainly they could have incorporated it better, but it's still suitably impressive. I can imagine a kid watching this would probably be creeped out by that figure.
The rolling fog that introduces him is pretty well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, waking up like that, to me, he felt like I've seen lots of very intimidating third ghosts. So
Yeah.
Seeing him do that and wake up is kind of anticlimactic to me. But it does the job, supposedly.
Right.
The book also has that ghost a lot creepier. So.
The sad thing is I got interrupted when I was trying to read this and I never got back around to it. One day I need to just finish the whole book. It's not a long book.
You could knock that one out in an afternoon. I'm a slow reader and I got it knocked out in like 1 or 2 days. So
I was reading it at work. I got about probably halfway through. One day I'll get around to sitting down and
But Scrooge wakes up and is overjoyed because it's Christmas Day and he's alive. Not dead.
And he notices his bed curtains are still there.
Yes.
And I love how it's his worldly belongings that he first notices. But he's always portrayed as the miser.
I didn't get ripped off in the middle of the night. Well, you're not dead either. And the significance is, of course, that those were his maids and stuff that were the ones that ripped him off. But they don't really go into it as much there, other than he does recognize them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he goes to Bean, who the one who was singing earlier, and asks him to buy the largest turkey and offers to pay him all the gold to do it, and throws him down the big sack. And I remember you guys making the joke, well, that's the last I see of him.
right. Kid runs off. Well, yeah, we're not going to see him again. No. Oh, yeah. That's what it was. It was, I did love that one moment where he's like, he tells him, I want you to go to the poulterer's and get that large turkey in the window. And Bean just looks back at him and says, be serious. And then he throws the money down. And apparently, just like Bob Cratchit got a promotion, apparently this kid got a raise. Because what was it? It was something like, I don't remember the exact amount that they offered. I'd have to look it up, but it's something like they changed it slightly from the original to where the original offer was the same, but then he upped it and ended up offering twice what Scrooge usually offers. I don't remember the exact amounts, but it's like, I think he offered him a shilling at first.
Was it 5 shillings?
I think he said 5 shillings, but apparently that's almost twice what he originally offered. Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
He
5.
offered a shilling and then raises it to 5. In the original novel and most adaptations, he offers a shilling and then raises it to half a crown.
Yeah, half a crown, yeah.
Half a crown is 2 shillings and 6 pence. So basically, he basically gave him almost double what so I don't know if they were intentionally being more generous with this movie or if it just worked out that way. Although, speaking of generosity, though, we then had that whirlwind of scenes where Scrooge is running around doing things, and we see him leaving all the coal for his workers, which, if you saw the movie, you're like, it makes perfect sense. But I read, I love this. I don't know if you guys read this. Like, supposedly in early screenings, kids asked, why is he giving them coal? Because that's what Santa gives to bad people.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
rats. I do like the scene when he goes to Bunsen and Beaker and he gives them that, and Beaker actually takes off his scarf and hands it to him, and he's touched by this, like, a gift from me.
Right.
Now, to me, it's not really a gift. He purchased that with a lot of money.
Even so, like, when's the last time someone gave him something that they weren't forced to give him?
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah.
I especially like that line. I just wish that much. I just wish there was something we could give you. And then he just gives him the scarf, like, off it.
Right.
That kind of adds something to that moment.
Yeah.
And I also, a moment ago, kind of realized it's like maybe they changed it to the 5 shillings from half a crown and 6 pence, because this is like for an American audience, and who the hell knows what a crown is? What does that even mean?
Yes.
So I feel like it's probably just a tweak to the archaic reference.
That may have been an example of slightly dumbing it down for the American audience, but
I mean, how long do they still use crowns in Britain? I'm pretty sure even some of them would probably be confused if they didn't have that in school at some point.
Well, Brandon, you were just over there.
I mean, all I can tell you is pounds and pence.
Okay.
But that's one good thing about good and bad. It's a mostly digital society, so like we only brought 10 pounds worth of cash with us, and we didn't even go through that because they preferred. They were like, no, we don't want that. But yeah, they even stop by. He even stopped by his nephews and gives a quick gift to them, and then leaves.
And I think he even stopped by his old headmaster's retirement home.
Yeah, apparently Sam and Fozziwig are hanging out in this retirement home.
They apparently are very long-lived.
Yeah, seems like.
I just assumed that all of them were that Fezziwig was dead in most renditions of the Christmas Carol. I guess this is the one of the few that he's actually alive.
Yeah.
That is a line that's usually at the start of that first flash of that Fezziwig flashback. It's like, it's old Fezziwig alive again, and I noted that they didn't use that here.
Oh yeah,
because they kept him alive. He never died.
Well, in fairness, no, Scrooge might have known. He seems like someone who would keep tabs on other people just to know if they owed him something. Yeah.
And shoot, there was that scene in one of them on one of the versions where they had him take the pennies off the eyes of Marley. I think it was the one that Tammy had us watch the other year.
Right. Because it
Yeah,
would
that
have been
one's still my
wasteful, I
favorite.
think. Because it would have been wasteful, I think. Or, yeah.
But then he goes to them, to the Cratchits, and does the typical thing of kind of like pretending to not realize that he gave him the day off. And of course, Miss Piggy decides to give him what for, until he's like, "I'm going to give you a raise." She's like, "What?" It's like, "Oh, well, come in."
Yeah, that one catches her off guard.
But then they actually do the refrain of that song they cut with all the others there, which definitely makes more sense now. Because I think, for those watching the cut version, that's the first time you'll hear the song. Like they obviously made it up just for that scene. And did that other rendition of it.
And of course, Tim has his famous line, "God bless us." Although most people tend to think he also does the "God bless us everyone," and I feel like he does in most versions. But Scrooge had that line this time. So I don't. Yeah.
And that's the end.
Yes.
But Scrooge went to hell anyway, so
Well, the end also, the final credits, we also hear a reprise of, and I think we kind of neglected to say this, or maybe we said it in passing and I forgot to, but there's that one, "It Feels Like Christmas," which is the song that the Ghost of Christmas Present sang.
Yeah, we talk about it because that was refrain for them and Cratchit when they did the present visit.
So that was a fairly catchy tune. It was pretty fun. Yeah. But anyway.
Well, now we've got through I guess special effects and production design. Why I could not say that, I don't know.
I guess there wasn't really much in the way of like special effects because it's Muppets, for the most part.
Well, that is special effects.
Yeah, I was going to say, in a way, that certainly is.
Well,
they recreated that entire town to where it was Muppet size for the most part. They did a really good job with the set design and the costumes and it was really good work on that end.
I think they did really good at it. Yeah, if you want to consider the Muppets the special effects, yes.
There is some limited, actual computer-generated effects, but it is mostly practical. But I think IMDb said this was the first Muppets production that had any computer effects. But yeah.
Yeah. I got to hear a lot about Gonzo's nose during this watching that I really didn't need to be hearing. But
yeah, I heard. Yeah,
you heard the same thing. You were watching.
I did. It was a different take on it. That's for sure.
They didn't use that. They didn't use it that way in this particular version.
What, they didn't make the similar comments on the commentary track? No, I don't know. I'd like to see the commentary on this one of these days, but
yeah, it's one of those days when I'm retired and I've got nothing else to do and it's just me and my collection. I will just sit down and that'll be the last act of my life. Will be to watch them all.
All right, gotta watch them all.
Anybody else on effects before we hit music? Because music is really where this thing shines because it's a musical.
Well, as far as production,
it's hard to mention anything really about effects because all of it looks fantastic. There's nothing that I don't think doesn't work.
I agree.
It's very high quality, as the Muppet stuff usually is.
Most of the special effects are in the design of the spirits to me. So
we should also note, Brandon talked about set design, but also like there's a really good costume design here. Looks appropriately period. They did a good job all around, I think. And we talked about the designs of the Ghost of Christmas Past and the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. Do we really talk a lot about the design of the Ghost of Christmas Present? I'll just go ahead and say I think it was pretty cool.
I swear, out of the three, he was the one who looked the most familiar as characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned that, I think, a little bit. Did anybody else appreciate like that shrinking effect they did when at first he's so big he fills the room and then he becomes more human sized?
Yeah. And I was just thinking, I imagine they probably had multiple puppets for that character. Probably, quite a few. Either that or they had some giant Mises for that one scene.
I think it would be like a guy in a suit after a point.
Probably for some of the scenes. When he was human-sized, it could have been someone in a suit. That wouldn't have surprised me. But
I always thought that the shrinking effect was actually them looking into basically taking film of a regular-sized, human-sized scene and then shrinking that down and putting it into the background, essentially.
I think I read something about how they did that once somewhere a really long time ago, but I'm not 100% sure where.
So musics.
Nailed it. Fantastic.
I was going to say, we talked about most of these.
Yeah. Well, we had, I think, was it Paul Williams? Am I remembering that correctly? No, sorry. Well, Miles Goodman did the background music, the score. I think Williams did most of the lyrics. Yeah. The score was good. It was effective. And like I said, I think the music was sort of a mixture. A couple of the songs were, One More Sleep Till Christmas is cute. Bless Us All is really kind of forgettable. But I rather like When Love Is Gone and It Feels Like Christmas. And Scrooge and Marley are both great songs.
Oh, yeah. Marley and Marley is my favorite song.
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah, the music is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess it's best favorite scenes?
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose we can go there and nobody else has anything to say about the music then.
Well, did you?
Yeah.
So. Okay. I guess favorite character and favorite scene. You want to start us out, Dustin?
Well, I know everybody's going to end up saying the Marley Brothers and their song because that's what I want to say. Because it gets so simple, like it's very, very catchy.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I think of this movie, I think of that first. But there's quite a lot to like. Like Gonzo's like a great Dickens stand-in, and him and Rizzo's like interplay is really funny. Michael Caine just nails it. Like he takes this role so seriously and like isn't messing around.
Right.
All of this works so well, and some people think it doesn't for some reason, and that always kind of blows my mind. So, just the whole thing is just great, start to finish. So, but if I did have to pick, it would be the Marley Brothers and the Marley and Marley song.
Real quick to Dustin's point, IMDb says before production began, Sir Michael Caine told producer and director Brian Henson, I'm going to play this movie like I'm working with the Royal Shakespeare Company. I will never wink. I will never do anything Muppety. I'm going to play Scrooge as if it is an utterly dramatic role. There are no puppets around me. And Henson replied, yes, bang on. So yeah, apparently he was thinking the same thing. So
I like how he might. I like how that suggests that he thought that wasn't exactly why they picked him.
Yeah.
right.
Most of the times, that's exactly what they want of the human actors, is to act as if they're not in with Muppets, that they're in with the regular. So he was basically just stating this is what we want of all of our human characters.
Yes and no, because a lot of people do have that feeling when it comes to this kind of stuff that you're going to be bringing a different level to it. You know what I mean? Like, the Muppets are known for quality for the most part.
Yeah.
But like we were saying earlier, some of their productions were more successful than others. And probably part of that is because of that different level of involvement on the part of the human actors, you know? Like in the Muppets, Chris Cooper was perfect as the villain in that one, you know, because he played it straight, you know?
And again, I consider that one more the exception to the rule, because they acknowledge the Muppets as Muppets, essentially, in that one, whereas in other
but
they kind of just accept them as they're just normal people in the part of the world.
But they weren't, the way the actors approached the roles, they weren't approaching them like, hey, we're just playing with Muppets. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
They took it seriously.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess I'll go. Traditionally, Gonzo was always my favorite character. And as I got older, Statler and Waldorf kind of took over. So, yeah, any scenes with them, with Gonzo and Rizzo, or with Statler and Waldorf, automatically I'm going to gravitate towards, because I love the characters, you know. But as far as favorite scenes, some of the specific scenes with Gonzo and Ratso, like we already mentioned, the one where with the whole fence scene, the whole one where they're talking about, hey, it's culture, you know, the part where Gonzo had to remind Sam that they're in Britain, that whole part. And then, of course, the Marley and Marley scene. And as far as the Scrooge scenes, the part where Beaker gives him the gift probably was one of the best bits of acting he had in the whole movie, I think. So I like that moment. Yeah. Oh, and the first humbug. Yeah.
Okay. Brandon?
Well, Gonzo's always been my favorite Muppet since I watched Muppet Babies back in the 80s.
Right. Same.
So I have to say that so I would put him as my favorite Muppet or character really in this, because he did a fun job with it and he played well off Rizzo. My favorite scene is, well, obviously the Marley and Marley one. I mean, though I will say that the song that they cut, I do think that scene has a lot of heart to it, and it is very sad to see that they did cut it.
Yeah.
Okay, David?
I would have to say that Marley and Marley is definitely a good scene. I do like the song that they cut from the movie. I think it shows, you know, a little bit about, you know, Scrooge's love and the love that was draining from them. you know. But I think I like the moment when Scrooge is actually looking at Tiny Tim and watching him while he's singing that one song he sings at the dinner table. And I just think that all around this, it's hard to pick one single moment because there are many different little moments that are magical to me. So,
in Ebert's review of this movie, that is a line that I remember where he really praised Michael Caine's acting because, where the scene where he's moved to tears by Tiny Tim, because on the one hand, Scrooge is having a reaction to seeing this disabled child. On the other hand, Tiny Tim is in reality a small green frog made of felt. So it really spoke to Michael Caine's abilities as an actor to sell that so well.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Okay. Let's see. My favorite character in this was Rizzo. I just got a kick out of him. He was, he's put through so much in here. He falls off this and goes into the water and he's frozen solid. He goes in, he burns his little feet, he gets squished he gets squished on that a shelf, he gets
There's that scene where Gonzo uses them to wipe the window.
Yeah.
right, that's the beginning. Yeah, so he's my favorite character in
I
this.
have to agree. Rizzo is my favorite character. I didn't say my favorite character, but yeah.
My favorite scene, I agree there's a lot of them, but I actually like the opening song a lot.
Yeah.
About Scrooge. And you see all the different Muppets and all, and if you listen to the whole thing.
Somewhere inside him, there must be some good. Nah.
Yeah.
So I really like that opening, song and everything.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess that brings us to the end.
All right.
Unless anybody else has anything to say.
I think we got it.
All righty. Well, thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've had an awesome time listening to our discussion. Hopefully you got a chance to watch the film. Let us know what you thought of the film and our discussion. And we'll see you next time. But let's go around the room and give the audience a little bit about ourselves. So let's start with you, Dustin. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I run the Crypt of Horrors YouTube channel where I used to do all kinds of cool horror-related things, and we're still trying to revive ourselves. So there's just too much going on to keep making stuff, but go subscribe anyway and make me feel bad that I'm not uploading so that I'll go do it faster. And you can also find me on Twitter and Blue Sky as Cryptaxis, where I'm a lot more active. I'm going to try to start my one-a-day letterbox thing up again pretty soon. I'm Cryptaxis on there as well. And just go give me a follow, and hopefully we can have a good time. So, and with that, I'm going to sign off. So like, share, and subscribe.
All right,
Thanks
you
for
have a
coming
good
on.
night.
All righty, let's go over to you, Jake. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I am Kotobukijake. I am the co-host of SeptumSin versus the World, where we had a rather fun pickup this last week. I don't know if it's been posted yet. There were some technical difficulties, but I'm sure Brandon will give us more on that. And also keep rather busy most of the time. Wish there was more time in the day, but in addition to my full-time job and working on doing the occasional video for that channel, I have been working with them on a couple of movie projects. I tried to get some other viewing in, working with one of my brothers to work my way through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. finally. Never really did see that before. So, and of course, being Christmas time, try to get some of the Christmas specials as they come. I saw the Garfield special again tonight. So, it's always a classic there that we'll probably have to hit one of these days. Not really, I guess, a whole heck of a lot more to say. I'm trying to get the creative spirit flowing once again. I've got some literary projects that have been long percolating, and I'm trying really hard to get that back on the front burner and get some stuff done there. So, here's hoping. But meantime, I do try to make time each week to watch stuff so I can join these folks. And, of course, we always do our Christmas months and get to watch some fun stuff. I'm frankly surprised we haven't covered this one before. So nice to finally get. What are we up to now with Christmas Carol versions? I know this has to be at least number 4, maybe more than that. What's that?
We've done Scrooged.
Yeah.
We did the Zemeckis one.
Right.
We did that one with Tammy.
Right.
Did we do any others other than the ones we're doing this time?
I'm not sure if we ever covered the Alistair Sim version, but
did we do the George C. Scott one?
No, we did not.
Okay. Well, there's plenty left to do, and we'll have one more this season. So.
And Tammy actually has quite a few of them, so
good times.
If there's ever a need to get versions, I even have a version that's an independent version that's got some singing in it. So
good times.
But in any case, let's go over.
Wasn't there a Henry Winkler version too?
Yes, an American Christmas Carol.
Okay.
Which
we've had
my family actually watched, and that's
so.
I guess that's my number 4.
Was it Winkler as Scrooge in that one?
No, he was actually Henry Slate.
Okay, because I was going to say, with that one, you'd be missing an opportunity if you didn't.
But it follows the Christmas Carol storyline. Yeah. Different characters, but more of a poor working class.
Okay, so kind of, sort of like Scrooged in taking the bare bones and putting it on a different. I gotta say though, with Henry Winkler, you're missing an opportunity if he doesn't play old Fonzie wig.
But in any case, Tammy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I go on this channel and another one with David and watch movies and talk with people about everything and their opinions and watch a lot of different things, and it's a lot of fun, and I have my own collection, and that's about it at this time of the year for me because there's no car shows in the wintertime.
Alrighty, is that it then?
Yep.
Alrighty, heading over to you, Brandon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I'm SeptumSin of SeptumSin versus the World. We do Well, movie content. Jake was talking about it, and we are going to have that pickup come up on Wednesday. So you get to look forward to seeing that. It's a very long one. We have like 30 some pickups a piece. So nice long pickup video in 4K in front of the Christmas tree. I've also managed to get pretty much the final cut approved of my short, which I will be in, what is that? Amityverse Part 2. I have a short that I have filmed and directed. I still have there's a voice part that has to go in it that I have to add, but after that, it will be done and ready to go. So that's a lot of fun. Most people who've watched it have enjoyed it. Jake and I will be doing a commentary for it, which should be an extra on that Blu-ray. So that'll be something we're going to be doing hopefully Wednesday if he's got time.
All right. And is that pretty much it then for you?
And don't forget to watch next week with Deadly Games, and which Dave can do the alternative title because it's
Well, it'll be my first time watching it because I have still not taken out my copy and watched it, partially because it's subtitled, and I know how lovely Tammy loves to watch subtitles. Old movies. So, but in any case, my name is David Strege. I'm one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies of Galore. So, thank you for coming along with us on this fantabulous journey we've been having. I know I was having technical difficulties for a little bit, so sorry about that. But for some reason, my computer was being a little bit of a biatch. But in any case, I do go on a different channel called Delusions of Grandeur, where I have actually been quite busy with it because I've gone back into the studio and basically created music for a lot of the band demos that my band Drown Out Dark had never seen to fruition. So I believe there are 15 or 16 albums of my band's music out there, and at least 5 cover albums that I've done of different covers. For some reason, I've thought of different songs that might be cool with a metal version here or something like that there. So it's an interesting process that I was able to get all of those out there. A lot of them I haven't read in so long. Yeah, I've written different things at various stages in my life, and it's like, do I really think that way anymore, or whatnot? But in any case, it's been fun putting those together. But I do some video gaming. There's some gameplay of some games I've done. There is still the Batman short film that has been streaming online. If you haven't checked that out, that's there. I will probably be having a pickup video soon because I finally have enough of a pile that I can go on about, thanks to Brandon here and I guess a Sentai order and a couple other things that I would love to share with you. So after we get our new bed and mattress tomorrow night and get our new entertainment center all up and whatnot, then hopefully I'll be able to sit back and film a video, either between this week or next week. But also,
not our entertainment center, my entertainment center.
Okay, fine, your entertainment center.
You even said you weren't going to help me build it, so it's not yours.
No, because it was not my choice, and I was fine with the other one. But in any case, neither here nor there. But
Hmm.
in any case, I do do similar podcasting on Sundays, where we are going on about. I believe we are going about the Charlton Heston version of Ben Hur from 1959 this next week.
Hmm.
So looking forward to that discussion. That way I can pull out the nice Blu-ray rectangular set that I picked up from Dane like a couple of years ago, and watch that that copy because I haven't brought it down in a while. But in any case, that's going to happen Sunday, and again, Deadly Games next week. And I guess at this point in time, everyone say good night.
Good night.
Hey, everyone.
Good night.
And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.